Rob Ash brought up a thing in his, well, latest as of this recording. This is October 5th. But he's talking about his first motorcycle encounter. And that's an interesting subject. I do not remember my first motorcycle encounter. Anyway, I remember there's neighbors and stuff like that had and people in the neighborhood that had the little mini bikes, you know, from Ward's and Sears, the old Briggs and Stratton and Tecumseh motors and whatever they used in those things. And I was fascinated with those, and that's actually what I was asking for, was just a little mini bike. And then for whatever reason, my dad started taking me to the motorcycle shops, and did the typical thing, went to Honda, Yamaha, and Suzuki, and I think the Suzuki dealer was also Kawasaki, if I'm not mistaken. But and then we go to the Harley shop, and I'm just thinking, Harley makes big street bikes. I don't even know why we're stopping here. And lo and behold, here's 3 or 4 of these little Harley Davidson X90s. It was a little mini bike version of that 90. They made a S90 too that was a street, had like 19-inch street tires on it. And oh man, I just absolutely fell in love with that thing. And then of course we go back and they were gone. They had sold them all. So I figured, and my parents were always good at kind of keeping a secret of what we were going to get for Christmas, But I was hell-bent on getting a motorcycle. And come Christmas morning, this was Christmas of 72, was a brand new 73 model X90. They had sold the ones we were looking at, were all the 72s or whatever. They had just, I guess in September, October, the next model years had shown up. My dad went down there, paid for one, and they kept it until Christmas Eve, and he picked it up on his way home from work, or however it got to our house. I have no idea. It was literally in the excuse me, I'm sorry. It was literally in the living room Christmas morning. Our parents set most of our stuff out in sections, unwrapped, so it it had that look that Santa Claus came. The stuff that was wrapped under the tree was usually things like clothes and things that were sent from relatives that lived out of town and stuff like that. But our Christmas stuff was sitting right there. One of the things that my mom told me later is, I didn't want to wrap everything up. I wanted you guys to stay busy for hours playing with stuff so we could sleep in, which makes sense. But that was just the best feeling in the world, to go out there in the dark and you could see that the living room was packed full of things that had shiny stuff on them. You could tell that Christmas had happened. Love that. But anyway, that motorcycle was sitting out there. It's crazy. God, we had been in Texarkana, Texas for, God, what would that have been? Probably 6 months, maybe, somewhere around there. 6 to 8 months. Our house was brand new. Parents built the house in a brand new neighborhood. We were like the second or third house built there. Now you drive down there and it's just this huge subdivision. All the houses look old. You drive through there and you go, oh geez, it looks like houses from the 70s. I remember all of them, or a majority of those houses being built that was just the most incredible playland in the world for young boys to go playing in those houses being built. And they would they'd throw these piles of lumber out. They'd always have like a pile, like they're about to do a big bonfire, and they said you know, we could have whatever's in those piles. And man, we built some of the most elaborate forts and tree houses you've ever freaking seen. These things were incredible. But you know, Rob clearly remembers the exact moment, his first introduction to a motorcycle. And I do not remember that. I know I wasn't. I just want to say I was. Seems like I was around them all the time, but you know, my parents or none of the people in our family were into motorcycles, so I don't know where I fell into it. Magazines or something? I have no idea. I was in, oh yeah, that's not just weather stuff. She's got a little steam. She's got a little dusting going on out there. What the hell time is it? 2 o'clock. Man, if she does something weird, we're gonna have to take a rip up the hill. What do I got for gas? I got plenty of gas to get up there and back. Yeah, we'll bust out. We'll take the old Road King and do a fire run up there. I'll get on their website. Wow. Website when I get home. I'll let the freaking air out of these shocks. This thing is so plush and too much air in there, and they kick me. They don't. I mean, obviously they're not bottoming out. It's actually the lack thereof. But yeah, that's interesting. You should bring that up. It's something I've never really thought about. And to be honest with you, I know the first shifting manual clutch motorcycle I ever rode was my my little Harley Davidson X90. That was my first exposure to it. Well, that's my Telegraph Road that I love going up, but I am not going to follow an elderly couple just coming back from church there. But anyway, interesting. That's kind of been in the back of my head. I'm sure there's got to be a moment, but I don't think I've ever really thought about that. My first manual clutch was Christmas Day 1972, but I'd ridden the little mini bikes. In fact, a guy right down the street had one of the little Montgomery Ward little jobs, but the little bicycle chain that drove it, that thing constantly broke, and it kept breaking the full starter rope, and it had the brakes were, it was like this metal band that went around a drum, and the cable that operated those brakes always broke. So I remember dragging my feet. I mean, I joke with people at work that, you know, if the brakes go out, you're just going to have to Flintstone that thing, you know, stomp your feet on the ground and drag it to a stop. Quite literally, that's how we had to stop this thing. It's pretty dangerous to drive, and there were no front brakes. It was just looked like a wheelbarrow wheel up front, and there's only rear brakes on it, and they were cable operated. I think it was on the clutch side. Man, did I put many a mile on that thing. And God, most of the time we're riding 2 up, and that was horrible. But anyway, I think my first exposure was to one of those, you know, Power Products engine powered mini bikes, but I don't know that for sure. I know that's the first ones I rode, those and the little go-karts, but that doesn't really count as a motorcycle. Very interesting though. I will have to ponder that. somewhere deep down the dark depths of my old memory banks, there's got to be a memory of what first I just always remember being attracted to motorcycles. Was always fascinated with them. I remember being a kid sitting in the back of the old station wagon, you know, and a motorcycle go by, and I just like, oh, awestruck, you know. So my little dirt area that I go to, oh no, a tree's in the way. A little dirt area that I go to over there, that's where I met the creepy fisherman dude. In fact, that may be him right there, who knows. But almost every time I come down here, there's people there. So anyway, for today, I think I've rattled off enough BS here. Holy mackerel. Man, I've been riding along BSing forever here, haven't I? But anyway, I'm on the last little throes of I'll tell you what that looked like. Good thing the GoPro doesn't see things like that far away. But anyway, a familiar stretch for all of you guys on my way home. Go and we'll see my oldest son and my youngest daughter, who have come up to visit, along with my youngest grandson. And by the way, she is pregnant again, so I'm gonna, in about 9 months, have my 4th grandchild. The 2 oldest are boys, and the youngest right now is a girl, and who knows what number 4 is going to be. I think she's really, really, really hoping for a girl. It's always nice to have one of each. So our first 2 were girls, and you know, I definitely wanted a boy, because in my immediate family, if I didn't have a boy, the Smoak name is, if you look at Smoak, there's all over the place in the South where I'm from, especially in the Carolinas. And my dad did a family tree thing, him and his sister, years ago. But anyway, it's not like the Smoak name would disappear, but in my limb of the tree branch, it would end. And as it turns out, my brother, who's 7 years younger than me, has only had girls. So anyway, we kept trying until we got a boy, and that was Kyle. That's the one that's at my house now. And then my youngest son, the one that works with me, well, works for the same company now. We used to work together. Now we're at 2 separate stores. He was like a surprise. Not that he wasn't wanted or anything, it just wasn't expected. But that's fine. No regrets on anything like that. It freaks me out, the people that even think stuff like that. I just hope I didn't imply that the surprise was a oh shit. I'm just saying it wasn't planned. It was welcomed, it wasn't planned. Maybe that's the best way to say it. Anyway, I'm at the point of just rattling on about nothing. Not that my kids aren't nothing, but I was actually starting out saying my goodbyes and ended up into another story. So as I tootle my way into Toodle, or Toledo, I'm going to say goodbye on this drop dead beautiful day. And should I find something wild going on with Mount St. Helens, like something's imminent, I will